Happy Wednesday. I hope this finds you feeling really well. I got an awesome question this week, and I wanted to take time for Wellness Wednesday today to be able to chat about this particular question. So, this person, she's not yet a client, said to me, "So, I work with affirmations and they're going wrong." And I asked her what she meant by that, and she said that she's working with the affirmation, "I am peaceful and connected in this moment." And I said, "So what's happening?" And I said, "First of all, what's inspired you to do this?" And she said, "I was feeling angry a lot in the moment." So she said she'd read somewhere that she could focus on affirmations, and she was affirming that she was basically peaceful in the moment, right? So imagine me say, "I am peaceful in this moment." Let's just simplify it so it's not as long of an affirmation. She's assuming that by saying that, she's going to start to feel peaceful because she's read things about positive affirmations, and now she's confused because what's starting to happen is the more she's working with her affirmation, the more angry she's starting to get. So the thing that led her to the affirmation in the first place is making it worse, and she doesn't understand why. All right. So this is an awesome question. When I was mentoring in my early 20s, I was working with someone that was very popular in the field of holistic medicine and alternative work. She's published all over. And I asked her the same question because the same thing was happening. And it was like there was this magical powder that would happen if you would just work with affirmations. And I found for me, it made it a lot worse, the actual emotion that I was feeling. This person is saying the same thing. She's saying, "I'm working with this affirmation of wanting more peace in the moment, and I'm feeling more and more aggressive and angry. Why is that?" So this is why, and I'm so blessed to spend this time with you all. I show up here Wellness Wednesdays every single week to offer tidbits of information and some very profound points about the healing process that I know for certain are going to help you. All right? So this is the thing. When we want something that we don't feel like we have, right? The first thing is we have to truly honor how that makes us feel. So for example, she's feeling angry. So my first internal question is, I wonder how much space she's given to allow herself to be really, really angry. And this is the personal key for anytime you want to work with affirmations. Do not use affirmations as spiritual bypassing, okay? Spiritual bypassing means there's this emotion. What we feel, we can heal. So there's this emotion that's here, but I don't want to feel this. I want to feel this way instead. That's just not how the healing process works. And she's saying, so that instigated it, but now the anger is getting worse. The feeling of being unsettled in the moment is getting worse. Why? What is that? That's her need to be heard, not fixed. Get it? So let me just give you this cookie if you're sad. No, let's feel the sadness together. Let's connect to it. And then it's going to start to soften. Then let's have a cookie because we want to enjoy more time together. So feel the anger, then allow yourself to really honor the emotional stance. Now I can tell you from my own personal experience, I've been on this path for a while. I turned 50 not too long ago, and I started doing this work. I believe I was just shy of 20 or maybe 20 years old. And there's a lot I've learned just through my own process and experience in the healing process that nobody's ever taught me. In fact, I think a lot of the real nuggets for people when I work with them come from my own personal experience. And it's understanding and navigating life in a very real way, in a way that doesn't feel like it's airy-fairy, right? It's very real. So this is the thing. Does it work? Can I take a 4-year-old girl or boy who is really angry about something and entice them to be quiet with a cookie? 100% I can. So is it possible to just shove an affirmation over that? Sure, you can do it. Will it likely bubble up and create more of a problem? Absolutely. If you feed a cookie instead of addressing the emotion, that's going to create an emotional communication with that child that what they're feeling, they don't either need to feel, it's not validated, or maybe even it's wrong or shameful, right? So what will happen is that will start to become an internalized pattern and process, which in the long run would potentially create emotional eating issues or disorders, right? So When we're working with positive affirmations, this is what we want to remember. We need to, number one, remember that we have to create a conscious space to organically acknowledge and hear ourselves out about what we're angry about, or whatever other emotion you have. I'm just talking specifically to this person and you all as a group. So whatever emotion you're processing, process away. What does that mean? Create 2 to 3 minutes to just slowly deep breathe. So if you're feeling anger, close your eyes, slow, big, deep breaths. Holding. Most people breathe. No, slow, deep breath, hold. Exhale. That becomes a detoxifying breath. As you're breathing in, I give myself permission to feel the anger, to feel the rage, to feel the disappointment, to feel the lack of worth. Whatever it is you're feeling, bring it on. Then, after 2 to 3 minutes of slow, deep breathing for 2 to 3 minutes, I used to set a timer, and now my brain subconsciously knows 2 to 3 minutes. I used to set a timer, the timer would go off, I would open my eyes, I would journal, and I would give myself permission to acknowledge exactly why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling about this. I don't need another person's permission. I don't even need another person's acknowledgement, but I need to create space for myself to really honor why it is I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. Then I'm going to take another minute and I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to ask myself, can I feel the anger in my body or whatever emotion you're going through? Can I feel it in my body? And if I can, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to just breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. And I'm going to imagine that wherever my hands are, that breath is going to go to that part of the body. Hold. As I exhale out, it starts to soften. After that, I'm going to be happy to work with affirmations. And those affirmations are not going to have a negative response. So the reason that the affirmation was having a negative response in this situation is there was a lack of connection to the emotion. She did not want to feel anger anymore. It's in there for a reason, and it's because things in our life happen where we haven't been addressed, we haven't been acknowledged, we haven't had connection. We've been really hurt and nobody's apologized. We've been betrayed. All kinds of things have happened, right? The body remembers all kinds of stuff. We have 55,000 thoughts approximately in a day. The next day, the same 55,000 thoughts and beliefs come up unless we work with positive words and positive affirmations. So when people work with me, it is absolutely critical that they feed their mind positive things and that they learn to work on honoring the emotions and stabilizing it with what they're actually working on. So when we're breathing, imagine we're in a garden and we're pulling out old weeds, right? And then when it's time to do affirmations and support, you plant them slowly and surely. Then the next day when you start to get angry, it's not that they didn't work. What it means is anger's coming up to remind you, time to do the affirmation. That's why the anger's coming up. If you were happy all the time, you wouldn't be thinking about the affirmation. So people will ask me all the time, like, is that why suffering keeps happening, to keep us kind of on our toes? Sometimes, actually, that's why that does happen. So a lot of times, I'm getting a headache. It's my body's way of reminding me to drink water. Maybe we don't proactively drink water because we don't feel like crap, right? It's the same thing here. So the reason for her and for most people, including myself, affirmations don't work or help us feel better is because we have organic feelings about ourselves. So somebody comes to mind and I got to work with her in person. So I offer intensives. People will spend 4 to 6 hours in a day with me from time to time. They'll fly me to wherever they are and we do intensive work. And she wanted to work on body image. And this is a big deal. And she was feeling like she was not good enough. And she wanted to believe that she was beautiful. And she just didn't feel beautiful. We got her into a very vulnerable situation. We did lots of really deep work. We stood her in front of a mirror. We did certain things to help her feel even more uncomfortable because we created a safe place for her to process from. And she looked in the mirror and she goes, this isn't working today. And I said, what's not working today? And she said, it's not working. I still feel ugly. I said, well, it's a long time you've been telling yourself that you've been ugly, but you're wanting to say you're beautiful. And she's like, yeah. I said, okay, so let's go sit down for a few minutes, okay? So she sat down, we closed our eyes, and we did some breathing together. And I said, I want you to really focus on you being just gross and ugly. She goes, well, why would I want to do that? I said, because that's how you really feel. And those are the messages you're telling yourself all the time. That's why you wear 2 sizes big of clothing. That's why you're carrying yourself and you're really overweight, because you really do genuinely feel like you're ugly. So your mind is believing this over and over again, and you're constantly taking actions that do that. So we're going to break that pattern. So we sat together and I said, I want you to really acknowledge how ugly you really feel. My goodness. She fell apart. She could feel it in her body, and she did the breathing we're talking about. After a few minutes, we got up, we went in front of the mirror, and I said, all right, let's try this, and let's tell yourself how beautiful you are. And she couldn't get it out of her mouth. But by the end of the day, she was able to get it out of her mouth. And at first, she got it out of her mouth, and she was crying and crying and crying and crying. And then as she kept practicing and working with some techniques that we have, by the end of the day, she felt completely okay in her body. And I don't say this lightly. She was able to look at herself. She was able to look at me. She was able to find a dress that was a bit tight and look in the mirror and say with conviction that I am beautiful. And she felt it. But you can only feel inside what you make room to allow yourself to feel. And most of us have so much crap inside, so much congestion inside of old beliefs, of pain, of hurt, of negative patterning, right? So if she pays for an intensive, obviously she's going to do probably the equivalent of 2 years of work in this one little bit of time, right? Be patient with yourself. But no, if you say that I am peaceful in this moment, make sure you honor how you really feel first. And then allow yourself to say, I am peaceful in this moment. I choose to give myself permission to feel peaceful in this moment. That might be a more powerful affirmation for her. I choose to allow myself to feel peaceful in this moment. And then again, if rage comes up, that's because the rage is inside. That's the healing process. You can only heal what you give yourself permission to feel. So I explain it all the time, and I've talked about this on Wellness Wednesday a couple months back. Using affirmations is a jackhammer and a fast forward process to give yourself permission to heal. But if you do it with the intention to fix how you feel, this isn't going to work well for you. Give yourself permission to make room and space to feel. Take a journal out, write out why you feel the way you do. Validate it. How many times have you felt like this? Validate it, find it, connect in with it. And my goodness, you will have a powerful process ahead. I choose to allow myself to feel calm and peaceful in the moment. Notice how my hand just goes here? It's very protective when you're doing sacred work on yourself. I choose to give myself permission to feel peace in this moment. Wow. All right? So it's not about overriding the emotion. It's not about silencing the emotion. It's about embracing and supporting the emotion. And as we give ourselves permission to embrace and support, that's pulling the weeds out and positive affirmations plant in. That doesn't mean that you get all the weeds out and it's perfect the next day by any means. It's a healing process that you are on. And no matter how long or how short it takes, don't judge it. Honor it, have patience, and know that you have a lot of stuff inside of you from a very long time ago. You have a lot of beliefs, a lot of pain, a lot of imbalance, and this is the time to learn how to let this stuff up and out. You got this. Be kind, compassionate, and loving to yourself. If you're emotional, that's good. That's coming up and it's coming out. And it's safe to feel your emotion. Give yourself permission to make space so it feels safe and connected in the moment. I light a candle, I might put music on. I mean, if I'm doing this often throughout the day, I'm not going to go through that ritual, but if I'm going through in an active way in the morning, I'm working on this, that's all I have time for today. I'm going to create more of a ritual around it to support more of an active process. If I'm using this as a daily consistent thing like we've been talking about, where you can say anytime you feel the emotion, just create a minute or two of space, Really honor how you feel. It's always very helpful after that to write down and acknowledge why it is that I feel this way. We carry so much shame. We carry so much of a goal inside of being like zen and serene, and human beings are emotional. Our emotions can guide the ship in so many ways. The issue is we've been so silenced and so confused by the silence of what we've been allowed to express with our emotions or not, how we were punished for them or not. And there's some serious damage that's happened to most of us. So we get to stop and we get to reset, and we can choose to do that anytime we want. No matter what you feel, there's no need to hold on to shame or anything anymore. And for this person that asked the question, she clearly has a lot of anger inside, and good for her, and giving herself permission to feel it. So if she says a positive statement, negative comes up. It's a jackhammer going in and saying, I want to believe this, but this is in the way. So I'm going to work on resolving this and cleaning it out and honoring it so that I can embrace this other experience. How freaking cool is that? All right. Big hugs.